Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. Today, I sit down with another inspiring young woman in the trades. Dee Durant got her first taste of the trades at 17 years old when she was the only girl in her high school woodworking class. She loved proving the guys wrong, but still, she was fascinated with the weather and intended on setting out to be a meteorologist. Discussing a more practical career path with her parents, she ended up pursuing a career in the trades, despite being told that she was too smart for that. Where have we heard that before? Once she made the decision to be in the trades, she went to school to be a power line technician. But this was before she knew that she had a fear of heights. Not wanting to hang up her tool belt just yet, she remembered her love of the weather, and in lightning in particular. Drawing the association with electricity, she decided to remain in the trades as an electrician, which is what her current apprenticeship is in now. Realizing that her definition of success was to help and inspire people to better their lives, she joined forces with KickAss Careers as an ambassador and has found a way to pursue all of her passions using the skilled trades as the ultimate catalyst. So turn it up and get ready to soak in all the personality that is Dee Durant. Also, FYI, the audio is a little fuzzy for the first 2 minutes, but only the first 2 minutes. It clears up, so stick around. Believe me, you don't want to miss this. And as always, this show is not monetized, and we don't run ads. We rely strictly on word of mouth from our listeners to further the mission. So if you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate it, review it, and share it. The future generations of trade people depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again, and enjoy this episode of Blue is the New White with Dee. Welcome back to another episode of Blue is the New White. We're here today with Dee Durant. Dee, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Me too. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you, where you come from, and how you got to where you are today?
Alrighty. My name is Dee, as you said. I'm 20 years old, and I live in the Great White North, Canada. So I started my journey into the trades when I was around 17. So I was in grade 11, grade 12 of high school. And I was all lined up in university classes to go to school for meteorology, which is the study of weather. And right when I sat back and talked with my parents and said, I don't know, guys, maybe I can try something else before I leave high school. I took a trades class, and I went to a very academic high school. So we only had one trade class offered, and it was a custom woodworking class. And I really had to fight to get into it because I was told I was too smart, and it was full of guys, and it was dirty. So my guidance counselor at the time actually didn't want me to get into that class. But once we fought to get in, I was able to start my career in the trades in grade 12. And I really had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I'm the first person in my family to enter the trades. I come from a family of law enforcement. So everyone kind of thought I was gonna get into that, but the closest I am to law enforcement is I'm a hockey rep. So that's all the enforcement I need in my life.
Very, very cool. Hey, I'm going to stop you there for a second. Your audio does seem to go in and out now that we started recording. You want to try throwing those on?
Oh, good.
Nice.
I know, right? I like
How's this sound?
Oh, that's better. Look at that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Plus, now you look like a pilot or something. So,
Awesome.
no, that's fantastic. And we got all that. I just, like I said, it just started to go in and out there for a second. So, but
Okay.
you sound great.
Thanks.
So you started in the trades at 17 years old in high school in the woodworking class, where you said it was mostly guys.
It was all guys.
It was all guys. You were the only.
I was the only female, and not all of them wanted me in that class.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I was lucky. I had an amazing shop teacher who was so supportive of me. And the first day I was in there, I actually, we were surrounded, like we were just going through the shop, and we were right next to the chop saw. And I was in there, and these guys were just kind of saying, just kind of off-putting things about me being there. Not directly to me, but talking to his friends loudly, so I could overhear. And I guess my shop teacher, his name is Mr. Quinlan. Everyone calls him Q. So Q just said, "Have you ever used one of these, Dee?" And I said, "Once, I think." And he's like, "Here, this is how you use it." And he made me demonstrate how to use that to all the guys. And then he stopped and he's like, "That was perfect. Probably one of the best cuts I've ever seen," which was probably totally false, but that actually shut the guys up. So I've always appreciated him for that and giving me the opportunity to prove myself.
That's fantastic. So when you heard that stuff, did it motivate you or did it discourage you?
Honestly, again, it comes back to my family. My mother was the first female police officer to work for my city. So I've always had that support, and I've always looked up to her, and everything she went through, it's horrible. It's horrible what she went through, and everything I do in life is to make sure that no one goes through what she went through. No one goes through what I went through or what other women went through or continue to go through. So for me, it was motivation. I was so determined to prove to these guys and to myself that I could do it. And I just wanted to show them that they didn't know what they were about to open. They were about to open Pandora's box. That's for sure.
That's fantastic. I love that. So, before we get too deep into like women in the trades and stuff like that, I'm curious about the trades, the trade itself. Like what intrigued you so much about getting into this line of work? Was it, I know a big driving factor was, being a female and doing this and this stuff, but what about the trades in itself did you learn to appreciate or love?
I really loved working with my hands and being able to help somebody and do something myself. So electricity is what trade I'm specifically in. What part of electricity, I'm not sure yet. I'm leaning towards being an industrial electrician, but I actually went through to be a power line technician. And I loved it, except for a pretty important part, which is climbing. I didn't really like climbing up the towers, so I sat back and kind of reconsidered everything. So I just really liked knowing that I'm helping someone, and I don't need the recognition. I don't need any of that. I'm just so happy to know that I am affecting people's lives and they don't even know it. Like, the only reason or the only time someone ever really sits back and thinks about electricity is when they don't have it. When you walk into a room and you put the light on, you don't think about who put the light on for you. Like, you don't think about that. But when you walk into a room, you put the light on and it doesn't come on, then you start thinking about us. So I just always found that so fascinating, and to be able to help somebody, and honestly, electricity is just really cool.
Oh my goodness! It can cook the person or the person's dinner, right? And
yep, that's true.
Yeah, no, and I love that you said that too, because number one, I talk to a lot of tradespeople all over the world at this point, and most of them, I'd say probably 95% of them, everything boils back to having the ability to help someone, and whether it's being an electrician or an HVAC technician or power line technician, it all comes back to helping people, right? In some capacity or another. And, especially like in the home services sector and stuff like that, I talk about this a lot on the podcast, in my book, and everything else, about how it kind of, people don't think about the trades as often as they should. And that's one of the reasons why there's this perception, right, that goes along with the skilled trades, and it's not really pushed in high school and stuff like that, because it becomes this white noise. All right, like the penny on the dresser or the sock on the dryer. You walk by it one too many times, and you don't realize what's involved. You don't realize it's even there. Like you said, until you go to turn on the light switch, or if you go to plug in your phone to charge it so you can scroll through Instagram, or whatever it is that you want to do. But the trades are one of those things that they're just so abundant in the construction of civilization in itself that it's almost hard to see, right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Sometimes I'm rambling.
Totally 100% agree. You can't really look anywhere without seeing at least one trade. I mean, if you go to the beach and just look at the water and you don't see any boats, or if you go into a forest and you don't have a flashlight or your phone, then yeah, you won't see any trades anywhere. But if you live in a house, or you have a phone, or you go to school, or you go to work, your entire life, every day of your life is affected by somebody in the trades.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that that's what more people need to come to realize. And I think that, we could do a little bit better job in our high schools of, kind of pushing that point. And I've talked about integrating specific aspects of the trade into everyday curriculums, like how to read a tape measure, and the theory of refrigeration in science class. I mean, this is stuff that we could be doing, right? And it wouldn't cost us any extra, but for whatever reason, it's just not thought of. And I think that boils down to the belief that a career in the trades isn't really sought after, right? It's kind of it can be looked at as a second rate career, if you will. So my next question for you is, you said that you're the first person in your family to enter the trades. So did you know the type of opportunities that existed in the trades?
I had no idea.
No?
I honestly had and I still have no idea what the trades hold for me. So that's saying something. There's so many opportunities in the trades. There's so many different trades. When I first considered, even just the first thought, I thought there were 3 trades. I thought you can be a construction worker who like works on the streets and like all of that. I thought you could be a plumber who comes to your house and unplugs your toilet. And I thought you could be an electrician who makes sure that your light turns on. That's it. That was the full extent of my trades knowledge. And then I decided to take a shop class after my parents sat me down and said, have you thought about the trades? And I said, well, I don't know which one of the 3 I would like. And because I'm so obsessed with the weather, I love lightning, and lightning is electricity. So that was the reason I got into electricity. But I had no idea what a millwright was. Honestly, I know a little bit about what they do. I had no idea there were framers. I thought you could just be like, oh, you're a carpenter, but like there's different types. And I thought that you were an electrician. You worked on a house. I didn't realize that there were electricians for big companies, and nuclear plants need electricians, and it's just so fascinating to think about how many different careers you can have out of this. And I honestly still have no idea how many trades there really are. And that's my complete honest opinion.
Yeah.
There are so many that I don't know about.
Yeah, not to mention, of the trades that are available, there's so many different paths within each one, right? I mean, there's a lot of them that's field work, and then there's management, and some of them have parts and parts distribution, dispatch, administration. I mean, there's so many different paths through the trades, even entrepreneurship and business ownership, and
Yeah.
which is a big one. And I know that today's youth really, places high value on entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And the trades is a fantastic route to get there. And it's interesting, I hear you talking about weather, and I've never said this out loud before, at least not on a podcast, and not many people know it, but I used to want to be a storm chaser when I was a kid.
That is my dream job. It still
that right?
technically is. My dream vacation is to go to Oklahoma and go on a tornado watching week. Like, I kid you not. I know I've made it when I can do that.
My one of my favorite movies growing up was Twister, and that's what and that's what really I watched that, and I was like, nope, that's what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to chase
100%.
tornadoes. No, it is though. It's fascinating, and I really like that you kind of related, your passion for the weather and lightning to electricity,
Yep.
and that kind of translated into practicality, right? I mean, meteorology is practical too. I mean, it's the only career where you can be wrong every single time and still
get
be
paid.
successful. But
yeah.
But no, I think that's really great, and that's something that I encourage kids to do. I never made that association before. I mean, that's a fantastic one. But I think in my book I say something like, well, if you, I think electrician was like if you like building RC cars, and figuring out wiring and that and stuff like that, or if you like building with Legos, contractors and carpentry and stuff like that, mass associations on a smaller scale, but still the same concept. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I loved playing with Lego, but I actually never really had any Lego growing up. I think I made one thing out of Lego, and it was a Star Wars thing.
Oh no! Oh,
I've
geez.
never wired until I got to college. I didn't touch anything until I really got into college.
So I'm curious. So when did you actually make the decision that the trades is what you wanted to do? Was that at 17 in that class of woodworking? Is that when something clicked and you were like, "Hey, this is a career path I want to pursue"?
Ooh, honestly, I was on. I had just come back from an college tour for our Royal Military College. Like I said, my family's all law enforcement, so I like that rule. I like being told what to do. I like all of that discipline. So I was coming back from that, and I was talking with my parents in the car. We had about a 3-4 hour car ride through a snowstorm. So we had lots of time to just sit down and really chat. And that's when my parents said, "Have you ever thought about the trades?" And that's when I sat there and I looked outside and I just watched. I just watched the power lines go by. I watched the buildings go by. And I really sat there and thought about what I could do. And then we went to another college tour we just so happened to go to Conestoga College, and I sat down and I talked with one of the professors there, and he's like, "What trade are you thinking about?" I'm like, "Honestly, I think probably about electricity." He's like, "Are you afraid of heights?" And I'm like, "Not that I'm aware of. Like, I wanted to be a pilot, and I wanted to go into the Air Force." So he said, "Have you ever thought of power line technician?" And I'm like, "What now?" And so he explained it to me, and I was so desperate to have a path that I told my parents, "Let's do it, let's go." And I changed everything, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the idea of me being a power line technician. I wanted to go through with this, and that just kind of started building in me. So it wasn't a defined moment where I was, yes, this is what I want to do. It was just mostly just building the idea of doing it until I wanted it so bad that I was willing to uproot my entire high school education, switch everything, and then apply for college instead of university, which I always thought I was going to. And my family is very smart, very academic. My dad, who's a police officer, has a degree in micropaleontology, just 'cause. So I come from a very smart family. So the trades is just like that stereotype, like, oh, well, that's for the people who don't want to sit in school or can't sit still or whatever. And I just kind of sat there and said, I like working with my hands. Like, I like doing that. So it was a bunch of different events that happened that really kind of made me think about it. And then the cherry on top was meeting Jamie McMillan, who's the CEO of KickAss Careers. And when I saw her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can do this. And she and I spoke a lot, and we kind of gravitated toward each other, probably because I was the only female in the class. So she and I started talking, and she gave me her cell phone number, and I'm like, I'm not good at texting. Like, I don't text. And she's like, you'll text me. And I'm like, okay. And then my teacher pulled me aside, and he said, do not let go of this connection. She is giving you her number. Keep in contact, text her, talk with her. And I really took that to heart, and she became my best friend, and now it's like we're sisters. So it was all of those different events happening that really solidified the fact that I belong in the trades. I can do this, and this is what I want to do.
That's fantastic. And that's very inspiring too. And I'm sure that anybody listening is going to say the same thing. And your parents do sound smart, because even though, you say that they're, but my point is, usually, and I'm not saying always, I make a very firm point to not say always on this podcast, although sometimes it slips, but most of the time when you have two parents that are academically inclined, and that have gone a certain path, that's, they're not so open to the route of the trades. And it sounds like your parents were smart enough to actually not only recognize that path and the benefits that exist therein, but be able to recommend that to you, which is fantastic. And I don't think that that's something that a lot of kids get. It's usually the same narrative from parents: go to school, get a degree, get a job, and do that job, and the skilled trades 100%. Are never usually a conversation like that. So, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. I totally see that. And I know that I am very, very lucky to have the family I do, and how supportive they are. I also do get some of what you're talking about. So in the trades, you can be an apprentice right away, or you can go to college and go to a trade school and all of that. And it was very imperative that I went to college, got the degree, and then started apprenticeship, because a degree is something you can always fall back on. So once, and I love school. I'm that weird kid that misses school every summer and thinks lunches are too long because I just want to go back to learning. And so I agreed. I'm like, yeah, I want to go to college. I want to experience that. I think in the States, college is community college for you guys. Like, we have university and then college. So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah. No, and actually, that's. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've done a couple of podcasts now, actually like 6 or 7 podcasts now, with people from Canada, and it took me a few episodes to be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, I didn't go to university. I went to what you guys would consider community college. I just wanted to make sure. So I do feel that, and when I was in the Powerline program, I I was getting anxious every time I went. I wanted to throw up every morning that I had to go there and climb. And so I cried. I don't cry very much, but I cried every night. And I told my parents, and I said, guys, I don't want to do this anymore. And it took them about a month to finally sit me down and say, you have to do this. Like, you have to push through this. And I told them, I said, this is not me. And then after about a month to 2 months, they said, okay, fine, this is your call. So I dropped out, and I felt like such a failure. Like, I'm a college dropout. I have no path in my life. I'm moving back in with my family. Like, I was so lost. So I was able to shadow Jamie around to events and realize that I really wanted to help people. So I talked to a few of my friends, and one of them suggested industrial electrician. So I looked into that, and I just blindly applied. I just full on, I didn't even read the class description. So I got accepted, and I started this program, and I absolutely love it. It is so different from the Powerland program. And I think my parents and family can see that I was really struggling, and it wasn't for me, but they had to come to terms for themselves. They were so I can't find the words. They wanted me to stay in school so bad. And it took me a while to also talk about apprenticeship option. So I'm in a co-op stream right now for my program. And usually with co-ops, you do your term, and then if they like you, they might offer you an apprenticeship. And so I talked to my parents. I said, this might be a possibility. I will be dropping out of college if I get offered an apprenticeship. So that also took a lot of explaining, because my parents aren't in the trades. They don't know this. And it's no fault of their own, because their parents weren't in the trades either. The closest person I have in the trades in my family was my grandfather, who is an electrical engineer, but he died when my mom was 14. So I never met him, and my mom doesn't really talk too much about him. So I don't really have anybody in the trades. So I don't really have anyone to ask about questions or what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. Is it okay if I drop out of college? Is it okay if I pursue something else? Can I keep switching? Like, will I find what I want to find? And I was so lucky to have Jamie, because she's my trade sister. Like, she helped me out.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky, and I honestly can't find the words to describe how lucky I am.
That's awesome. I'm getting goosebumps over here.
I'm trying not to cry. I know I keep saying that, like, I don't cry a lot, but this is something that really gets me going.
You're not doing yourself justice here. Come on, suck it up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's very inspiring, and I think, you know what you're saying really, it resonates, because people need to understand, that, okay, first and foremost, I talk a lot about college and university, and in relation to the trades and stuff like that, and a lot of times that's construed as I'm saying don't go to college, go into the trades, when that's the furthest thing from what I'm saying. I'm saying that everybody defines success differently, and that in order to pursue the type of success that we want, we need to pick a career that that we like and that suits us. And if that entails college, then fantastic. If it's the trades, fantastic. If it's both, even better. That's great. There's all these different paths to success, even though we're pushed in one single direction most of the time. And above and beyond that, I don't think people understand the type of education that's involved in the trades, because it gets this reputation as, well, go into the trades if you can't cut it in college, or if you're too dumb for college, basically get into the trades. in so many unspoken words, that's kind of what the perception is these days. And it's just amazing to me because tradespeople are probably the smartest people I know on this planet are tradespeople, and again, everybody's got unique abilities. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses and what they're good at. And it goes back to what Einstein said, right? If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to live its whole life thinking it was stupid. Right? I mean, and it's basically the same thing. I mean, there are different types of intelligence, and some of it is academic, some of it is hands-on. I mean, there's all these different things that I think need to be brought to the forefront in order for us to value the type of education the trades provide, and put it on the same level, same playing field as any other career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm babbling again, I think.
Oh, it's fine. I babble too.
But, and that's really, that's the narrative that I like to try to get across is it's a respectable career, and the opportunities can, even far outweigh some of the opportunities that are available now, even with a college education, college degree, and so it should be regarded in just the same manner.
Mm-hmm. It's an honorable career. And if you're looking for, I've always wanted an honorable career. Like when my parents are out with their friends and they ask, oh, what does your daughter do? I want them to be proud of what I am doing. And so I've always been looking for that honorable career. And honestly, the way my schooling taught me, trades isn't honorable. The trades is, like you said, for the people who couldn't cut it, for the guys who couldn't cut it.
There you go.
And that's why it was also difficult for me to even get into my trades class, was because the person that is supposed to help me find myself was saying, I'm too smart. You're too smart for the trades. Like, go to university, go be a doctor, go do whatever university people do. Like, but I didn't want to leave high school without trying it. And I remember in grade 9 and in grade 12, we have assemblies, and they say, these are your options. You can go to university and you can go to college. You can take a degree, you can take a diploma. And then there was one little tiny slide that said, you can go into the trades. Okay, next slide. And then, and it was about an hour long, at least an hour long. And I think we spent about 20 seconds on the trades, and that's being generous. Mm-hmm. So it was not an honorable career for us. And I think what we really need to do is change that, because it is. You have to be smart. You have to know numbers. You have to be able to count. You have to be able to read. And there's a lot of things. Like, I'm academically inclined. I can drive a stick shift car theoretically. I know how it works. I've never done it. But like, I can do that. But at the same time, there's also other people who can't understand how it works, but they can do it flawlessly. And so there's so many different types of people and learning out there. But all of that is manifested in the trades. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to understand theoretically so that you know the dangers. You know not to hook up opposites to each other. You know not to hook up same, or up from down. I know it sounds silly, but you need to know this. And a lot of people don't. You need to know how to put a hard hat on properly, which is something that is very sad when I go and help people at events and tell them about the trades, and they put the hard hat on backwards, and I say, oh, it's on the wrong way. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, okay. But like, there's so many different options in the trades. Like, you don't have to go to university and be a pencil pusher.
Oh, absolutely. And valuable life skills on top of that too, right? Like, just
100%.
being able to do basic things around the house. I mean, and that's I think kind of lost on this up and coming generation more so than it should be, and by no real fault of their own. It's just, again, same thing that we're talking about, them being pushed towards a specific path. But the practical application of a lot of the things that you learn in the trades, I mean, is necessary for basic everyday life, or if it's not necessary, it's at least valuable. You know what I mean? I mean, I remember when I first got into the trades, and my specialty is hot side kitchen equipment, fryers, ovens, stoves, that kind of thing. That's how I entered the trades. That's what my expertise is. But once you pick up that wrench, once you start learning how to read a meter, how to do these basic tasks, then everything around you kind of look at a little bit differently. I remember the summer I moved into my first house. Now, I didn't work on ACs, I didn't work on HVAC, but I remember my condenser fan motor went out, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I was like, wait, I know, I'll check to see if the motor's bad. Well, what do you know? My specialty is in hot side, but I'm able to change a simple fan motor. You know what I mean? And these skills, so they translate into many different ways, and that saved me. It saved me money by not having to call out a professional, an HVAC technician. It saved me time because I'm in Arizona. I mean, when I say summertime, I mean it's 118 degrees outside. I don't
That
think
sounds hot.
it's not cold. I think in the last 2 weeks we've had one day below 110 or something
Wow.
like that. But so my point is, in the summertime when your AC goes out, it's a pretty big deal, and just having the basic skill set, or even just the simple mindset of taking a step back and saying, okay, how do I apply what I learned in the trades to better my situation right now? I mean, it's fantastic. People need those skills. They need those abilities. So anyway, on to my next tangent. I'm curious about your being a woman in the trades, because we all know it's a male dominated industry as of right now. I know yourself and Jamie and everybody are working to change that, which I think is fantastic. But what would you say about your experience, not only just picking the trades as a career, but being a woman in a male dominated industry? What's the most challenging thing about that?
The most challenging thing would probably be knowing how to talk to them and knowing what is acceptable and what isn't. Um, so I'm still very new in the trades, and the only real experience I have is through school. When I was in high school, I had these guys talking about me. I had to know what to stand up against and what to let go. Um, I knew that when one of the guys took a path that he didn't have to take and rubbed up on me, I knew that that wasn't acceptable. So, but it's hard to confront, and it's hard to know what is inappropriate and what is not. And I know that sounds really silly, because you know that someone who touches you inappropriately is inappropriate. But when do you know what is too much? Like if I hit you in the arm while we're laughing and joking around, that's not inappropriate. But if I hit you in the arm and look at you a certain way or say a certain thing, that's inappropriate. There is a really, really fuzzy line. And it's different for every female. I know some women who are like, don't touch me. Why are you, don't say that. Don't ask me out. Don't talk about women like they're items near me. And I know some people or some women who are just joking around. They're just saying whatever. If the guys are talking about their one night stand or whatever, they don't get offended. They don't get anything. So it's definitely difficult to find that line. And I'm still trying to find it. It's different in every situation I'm in. So in high school, there were the guys that I knew didn't want me there. And there were the guys that could care less. And then there are the guys that were really supportive of me. I knew that if the guys who were really supportive of me whacked me in the arm and started making fun of me, I laughed and I gave it right back to them. But if it was the guys who didn't want me there and they whacked me in the arm and started making fun of me, I didn't like that. So it's definitely a line, and it's so difficult to find that. But you have to be really true to yourself. And I'm not speaking about my experience in this next story, but I know of somebody who went into the trades and was at a job and was sexually assaulted, and she was very uncomfortable. She didn't want to be with this person, and so she went to HR, she went to management and said, this can't happen. What the heck? And this was the response she got. Who is more easy to replace, you or him? He's a supervisor. Let it go. And I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, you have to support the women and the men. This also happens to men. I'm not saying that this is just a woman issue. This is an everybody issue. And so the most difficult thing is definitely finding your line. And I'm still working on that. When I was in the Powerline program, the guys really didn't like me. They didn't want me there. And I didn't really talk to anybody. But now that I'm in this other program, the guys are amazing. I talk to them all the time. I have group chats with them. I joke around with them. I send them silly videos. They send me silly videos. Like, we're all just friends. So I know I keep repeating myself, but it's definitely finding that line and sticking to it.
Yeah. And that's one of the best answers that I've gotten to that question, by the way, because I mean, no, you make a good point, and it's not a point of view that obviously I can't relate 100% being a guy in the trades, but, I definitely, I respect that point of view. And I think there's a lot of truth to it, because intent, number one, intent has a lot to do with finding your line, right? Like you said, if you know somebody's supportive of you and, they're joking around with you, you're going to take that one way. But if you know for a fact that somebody isn't supportive of you, then anything that they do to you, can be construed in a completely different way. It's probably not just a playful punch in the arm. It's probably, got a little bit more of a, I don't know what word I'm
extra
trying to use.
meaning.
Yeah, exactly. It's got an extra meaning to it. And then I would imagine at that point, not only do you have to find your line, of what to tolerate and when, but then in your example of going to HR, then how to react to, what's being done, because that's got to be even more challenging. Is, okay, well, now this happened, what are the proper steps to take? If I go to somebody, am I going to be construed as, like I'm whining or complaining, or am I going to be, is this a legitimate thing to go to somebody about? And you're right, it is definitely something that, look, if we want to close this skilled trades gap, right, we can't leave 50% of the population with a blurry line. We have to shore that line up, and we have to treat everybody with the same amount of respect, and so I think that is going to be crucial to continuing to get women in the trades, being able to provide a level playing field and not use the excuse, who's easier to replace, him or you, because it goes beyond that. And the more women in the trades too, by the way, the easier it's going to be to replace both, so
Yep.
accountability can go up, if we play our cards right, but we have to get through this initial mindset, right?
Yeah, that I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's good to know, because sometimes I don't hear myself talk, and I don't know if I make sense.
I lose track of time every time I start talking.
No, but I mean, and that's great, and I like what you said too about being true to yourself. There's a big, there's a lot to be said about that. Knowing your own values, knowing, I think that's where it starts, right? Because women are going to have a more difficult time entering the trades for the simple fact that the world is still getting used to it, right? People are getting more accepting of it, but it's still something that, isn't common. What is it? 3%, 4%?
It's around 2 to 3%, but that I'm not sure if that includes all of the trades, which hairdressing is a trade, cooking is a trade. So the numbers are a little skewed. You have to make sure what they're actually, what trades they're actually including. But another note is my mother is someone who taught me something really important that I didn't think was so important at the time, which was never lose your femininity. So when you go into the trades, which is male dominated, it's everything. We all know that. You want to be one of the guys. You want to get in, you want to laugh, joke around, but you don't want to change who you are. If you like the color pink, wear the color pink. If you like to have your nails painted every now and then, paint your nails. Don't lose who you are to mold to what they want. And that is something my mother taught me, and I am so grateful that she's being so open and taking the time to teach me this, because she's been through this and she's helping me, and I am trying to spread my mother's wisdom all around, because it really is true. Don't lose who you are to be someone people want. And I know someone who was not allowed to wear the color pink because a supervisor said that she was trying to show off her body parts too much because she was wearing a pink shirt. She was trying to draw attention to herself. And now this person refuses to wear the color pink. She hates it. And I love the color pink. I think hot pink, not like the really whitey pink. I like hot pink. But like I would get a hot pink helmet or tools. I think that's really cool. And actually one of my teachers at college, all of his tools are pink. And I said, "Oh, you like the color pink? That's awesome." He's like, No one will steal pink tools." And I'm like, that's brilliant.
That's awesome. And I think that's fantastic. Basically what your mom is saying is be genuine. And there's so much truth to that. It's ridiculous, because that's what we need, right? And that's actually where I think the respect is earned, is somebody who can come in, do the job, do it well, and be themselves while they do it. Yep. That is what's going to inspire change, not necessarily adapting to, not adapting is not the right word, but imitating the people around you. Mm-hmm. That's not solving the problem, right? Because being genuine definitely does. Your parents are awesome, by the way.
I know, right? They're pretty awesome.
No, that's really cool. So that's really interesting. I'm wondering, has there ever been a time when, and it doesn't sound like there is, but I figured I'll ask anyway. This is a podcast after all. Has there ever been a time when you reconsidered your career in the trades because you were a woman?
Yes, actually. And it actually happens a lot more than I lead on. This is something that I think about all the time. And it's sad that I do, because I don't think guys will reconsider their job because of their gender. So why would women do that? But then again, I can't speak for all ladies in the world. This could just be me. I doubt that it is, but it could just be me. I am not the strongest of people. I played hockey, surprise, surprise. And I'm a hockey ref, so I'm a lower body athlete. My legs, they're pretty strong. My arms are noodles, and I cannot gain strength in them to save my life right now. So when I go to pick up something heavy, it'll take me a while. I'll get it done, but I will have to change how I do things. If I have to hold it a different way, if it takes me 10 extra steps or whatever, like I'll sit back and I'll think, I'm not strong enough. I'm not good at this. Or if I'm having cramps or whatever, like I'll feel like I can't do this every day. Like I feel so sick. I just want to go home, curl up in a ball. And I just say, maybe if I was a pencil pusher, if I just sat at a desk all day, this would be okay. I wouldn't look weak. I wouldn't look like I'm always trying to get out of work. But and then I have to remind myself that if this is something I want to do, I have to give it my all. I have to push through those hard days. I have to push through and prove to myself. I don't want to prove, like, obviously I want to prove to other people that I can do it, but I really want to prove to myself I can do it. And that is what drives me to keep trying to find new ways to make something easier for me. If these guys, if I was a shingler and these guys were carrying bags of shingles up to the roof, I don't think I'd be able to carry it. I really don't think I could. So I would have to maybe cut it in half or carry a couple shingles up at once, climb back down. It would be more work. It 100% would be more work, but I would make it work. And so it's just a battle, constant battle in my head saying, you can't do this. You're a female. What are you doing? Look pretty, what society has made us to think, like lose weight, gain weight, or put makeup on. I have no idea how to put makeup on. I really don't. I'm actually wearing makeup right now, and I have no idea if I even did it right. So,
well, you know what they say, less is more.
Exactly. So that's what I tell myself. But like, it's always there, and I feel like it's always going to be there for me, constantly nagging at the back of my brain. But at the same time, it motivates me. So it's just twisting the negative to motivate you or make it positive. Is your Timmy's cup half full or half empty? So
no, that's really great, and I think that's something that a lot of the listeners need to hear is, it's completely normal to have this tennis match going on in your head, and whether it's about this, being a female in the trades, or, I mean, you're going to have this tennis match in almost everything, every major decision of your life, right? And and that's just how the human mind works. And the trick is, like you said, is twisting it to your advantage. And, what are the positives that come out of it? What kind of confidence are you going to gain by proving it to yourself, let alone to other people? I mean, it's a major step forward personally, professionally, and for everybody in the industry, when you ultimately choose the path that's probably not going to be the easiest, because that's what has to be done, right?
Yeah, I distinctly remember in high school, I got a co-op with a contractor, and he did everything himself, and we were actually working on something at his house, and we had a stack of about 25 sheets of plywood, and plywood is heavy to me, and it was really big, and I couldn't wrap my hands around it. And he said, okay, I need you to get this pile and walk it all the way back and put it behind a shed. And I said, yeah, no problem. I got this. I went and picked up the first one, and I went, oh dear Lord, I cannot carry this. And I went back and said, I can't carry this. And he's like, well, figure it out. like, this is your job, figure it out. And he gave me a tool that might help. And it was a little platform on wheels where you could put it on and just wheel it back. But it was also January. So it was a little muddy and icy. And so that wasn't working. So I had to figure out how to do it. And I finally did it by carrying it. I had blisters, I had cuts, I had slivers, and it took me way too long. So I actually had to go to his house on my own personal time on my days off to finish that pile. It took me about 3 days to get through it, but I did it, and I did all of it, and he didn't help me. And that's something that sticks with me. It might take me longer, but I can do it no matter what. So that is just something that motivates me as well. Like, I can sit here with a smile on my face and say, yeah, I did it. I mean, I probably wouldn't tell you it took me 3 days, but I would say that I did it.
Well, it's a personal triumph, right? I mean, and those are the types of things that stick with us. I mean, just like you, that same stuff motivates me, and I think that that's a big motivator for a lot of people, is just proving to yourself that whatever means necessary, you're able to do what you set out to do. And, that can be considered a small accomplishment, but like you said, it sticks with you. So, it constantly, it's like an endless supply of motivation, right? Because you can relate it to even the bigger things that you are trying to accomplish with your life and your career and all of that. So, really, really, I'm so glad we're talking.
Me too.
No, this is great. I think that my audience is really going to love you. So earlier we were talking, I know we've almost been talking for an hour now. It doesn't even feel like it.
Crazy.
But, we were talking earlier about success and how people define success differently, right? And even though a lot of people are pushed toward one singular definition of what success is by, somebody else's terms, that we should all be in pursuit of whatever it is that we define success to be. So I'm curious about you and how you define success. Overall, just personal success, how do you define it? And how is your involvement in the skilled trades leading you toward it?
I absolutely love this question, and it's so daunting to me, but I love it. So success is such a fluid definition. It's always changing. Your situation, your age, your maturity changes everything. When I was a kid, success was getting perfect. It was making money. It was all of this. But now that I'm older, I would like to say I'm a little more mature, but jury's still out on that one. But success at this moment in my life is that I am doing something that makes me happy, and that I am the person who is making my family proud, making myself proud, and also that I'm able to help someone else find what they want to do. When I'm talking to people at events or talking to ladies, and we're at a careers night with all of these different careers, not just trades specific, but just all these different careers, and they come up to me and they ask what I do and all of that, I'll look them straight in the eye and said, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to join the trades, because that's up to you. I'm going to present this opportunity to you to learn about it. And I'm going to say, try it. Just try it. I don't care if you end up in the trades or not, because that's you. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to go to university, if you want to do all of that, that is amazing. But if you don't know what you want to do, just try it. And to me, success is getting that person to just check behind them and just see if it is a possibility. And even if it's not, they're learning something. Like to read a tape measure. I don't know how to, I thought I knew how to, but I didn't until I joined a trade class. And to change a tire. I learned how to change a tire this summer. So, and I mean, I do call myself an expert now that I've changed 4, but, like, if I get stuck on the side of the road, I know I don't need to call like a damsel in distress. I can change that tire and fix it myself. And to me, that is success. That is knowing that I am self-sufficient and knowing that I'm making myself happy. Obviously, I would love to have loads of money, but who wouldn't? But I really just want to see someone else feel the same way I do about getting into the trades. I want to let ladies know that it's okay to be the only one in your trades class, and it's okay to feel the way you do. And you, believe it or not, have people to support you. You don't even have to know them. When I was going through the Powerline program, I was talking with Jamie and I was saying, I don't know. I don't think this is for me. I can't do it. And she was at a conference in the States and she came back with so many sticky notes. And I want to say there was around 100 of them. And they were from people from all over the world. They had no idea who I was, but it was message after message after message of, you got this. Don't worry. Like, be yourself, be true. You can do this. And I still have those sticky notes. They're in my room. And I still have the pictures of every single one of them on my phone. And I full on cried when I saw them because of the support of all of these people. I had no idea who they were. And the only thing they knew about me was that I was struggling. And to know that there are people that are going to support you no matter what, that is a successful life for me, to be able to support people the way I have been supported. So that is my momentarily definition of success. And I'm sure it will be different once I have a family or have whatever in my life. It's always going to change. So as long as you allow it to change, then success is just being happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that answer, and having the self-awareness to know, that success does change is very important. I asked a lot of people that question. Well, I ask everybody that question, but no, but it's true, and I get all sorts of different answers, and a few people have, talked about how success changes for them. Success has changed for me. I mean, success when I was in high school was winning the street race, and that was it. And it's changed, 100, 1,000 times over the years, and it's important to know that, you have a career that can keep you pointed in that direction of success, right? And no matter how many times it's going to change, if you have a career that can keep you pointed in the right direction, then what else really matters from a career standpoint? That's absolutely huge. So I think that's a really great answer to that question. So that being said, I think that's a great note to close it. Although I could talk to you all day.
Honestly, I could continue talking for as long as my ice cap keeps me talking.
There you go. So before we take off, why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Okay. They can find me on Instagram at dee.d15. They can find me at www.kickasscareers.org. And you can find me on Facebook, Dee Durant, or you can find me somewhere in Canada.
Awesome.
It's a big nation, but it's a small town.
There you go. Dee, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
All right. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep kicking ass, right?
Thank you. You too.